Center back is a very important position and one you really need to learn how to play if you want to do it effectively. So in this video, we're going over how to play center back in soccer. Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dave from SimplySoccer, where we help you to improve your game and stand out on the pitch. And on this channel, we release daily soccer tips, technique, and training videos, all designed to help you improve as a player. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever we do videos and live streams. So we're just gonna get right into the whiteboard. I know this is a pretty long video. I'm gonna go over some tactical stuff that center back should be looking to do, along with more general things that center back should be keeping their eye out for, because it is really a very important position that can't afford to make many mistakes. But I'll go over that all in the whiteboard drawing, so let's go right over to that. All right guys, so in this video we're going over how to play center back in soccer, and for this we have our two center backs here. We have our right, left back, center, defensive mid, some more midfielders up here, and we're just going to go over some general things that center back should be doing. It's a very important position, one where you can't really afford to make too many mistakes, but there are some things you can do to not only avoid mistakes but also be a great influence in the game. First and foremost, one thing I think that a center back, so let's take this guy for example, needs to be is smart with the ball. Center backs can't afford to be giving the ball away to the opposition in these kind of areas. So let's say there's some opposition players around. You know, if you give the ball away in this kind of area in your own defensive third, you're just setting yourself up for trouble. You're setting yourself up for the counterattack. And you can see many times when teams lose the ball in their own defensive third, it usually ends up with the other team fashioning a chance or becoming very dangerous. And so the last thing you want is poor distribution on center back's part or losing the ball. So one thing a center back needs to be doing is have a good passing ability. Now, I don't mean you need to lob the ball 50 yards up the field. Now, you can do that. There are many center backs who have very effective long passing, who will say this guy has the ball, and they're able to play, you know, very effective 50-yard balls over the top towards their wingers or strikers. And that is something you can definitely work on, and something that the best center backs in the world are able to do. However, we don't even need to complicate it that much. Your simple passing to your teammates who are close by to you, you can include your goalie as well, needs to be crisp, it needs to be good, and it needs to be accurate. If you're playing the ball and you are misplacing your passes, so let's say you're trying to play your center defensive mid and there's a guy a little bit off of him, but if you pass it and it's beyond him and he can't get to it, this guy suddenly has the ball and bam, bam, they're in on goal. So your passing has to be precise. It has to be crisp. You do not need to complicate your passing. If you watch any game, you'll see that a lot of the center backs will pass, you know, across the back line to their defenders so they can fashion an opening to their wingers, to different midfielders. It doesn't matter. But your job as center back is not to be the player that's necessarily getting assists or scoring goals or being the playmaker. So you do not need to be the player that dribbles in here, you know, beats three players and then sets your striker away on an attack. Now, there are times you can dribble out of defense, and we'll probably touch upon that briefly, but just recognize first and foremost, you need to be smart with the ball. Think smart with the ball first. What is the smart option? Not what is the risky option, what is the impactful option. Other positions can think about those things, but you have to be very disciplined as a center back, and you need to think, what is my best option? Is your center defensive mid wide open? Pass him the ball. Is your center mid wide open? Give him the ball. He's one of your playmakers. Is your right back open with space who has a passing lane to your winger maybe? Or maybe you just need to pass it to your other center back to open up the field a little bit. You'll see center backs do this all the time where they'll just pass it back and forth until an opening is created and they can play a winger, or they can play their right back, or they can play a center mid, whatever it may be. Just remember, you can be patient with your passing as a center back, passing it along the back line until an opening is fashioned. You can try to long balls like we said, but until you get really good with your passing accuracy and your long ball distribution, you might want to avoid that for now. Next thing about a center back is they're calm and composed. Now, we already went over passing, and obviously you need to be calm and composed to do that properly, but they don't panic. The best center backs do not panic. If you're in this position and you get the ball and a striker starts to close you down, if you panic there, you might make a mistake which allows him to get in on goal. You need to be calm in these situations and realize that most of the time you have passing options, meaning if you have to play it back to your keeper, that's fine, and he'll distribute it to another defender, or he'll kick it upfield if there's too much danger. But you need to be calm in this position, because if you start panicking, you're going to do a few things here. One, you might give the ball up to this guy. Two, you might play a bad pass in here somewhere, which will give it up to your opponent as well. Or three, you might just clear the ball away and lump it out when you actually had a better option. Now, speaking of that, when in doubt, kick it out. Here's the thing, like sometimes you need to be what's called a no-nonsense defender, especially as a center back. You see, here's the scenario. What's worse, this guy getting the ball off you or you kicking it out of play? This guy getting the ball off you is much worse. So when you're in doubt, you just got to play that ball upfield. If you have like guys closing in on you, like they're like gegenpressing or something, and you don't have a passing option or you don't see one right away and you can't get it back to your keeper or something, there's no shame in just kicking it upfield, kicking it out, and make sure you kick it high and wide. If you just lash at it and it rolls on the ground again, it might go to an opponent and they might counter. But when in doubt, you can kick it out. Remember, you're a defender. Your main job is to prevent the opposition's attackers from doing anything and getting close to goal and scoring. So sometimes it will require you to just head the ball away. It will require you just to volley it upfield. It will require you to simply just kick the ball out. So remember, kicking the ball away and out of play is much better than the opposition getting a goal scoring opportunity. Always. The last thing you want to do is overcomplicate something back here and then it lead to a chance for your opposition. What else do good center backs do? They read the game very, very well. And what do I mean by this? I mean, they anticipate the game well. They're tactically astute. They're tactically knowledgeable. And they're able to read the game. So, for example, this guy might be making a run in here. And a good center back is usually someone who can read this happening, see the pass coming, and anticipate it to prevent that. Or, in that same situation, other center backs know when they're beaten and how to get back in position. So let's say the ball comes in here and you know you're beaten. This guy's spun in behind. Center back who's not calm and composed, a center back that's not reading the game well, who doesn't make good decision making, might try and get that ball when it really isn't on to get. They might try and prevent that from happening. A more experienced center back will loop back around, follow this guy into the box, and make sure he can't get in across. It's just a simple decision-making process, but decision-making is going to be incredibly important when you're a center back. Again, because one bad decision by you can lead to a chance for your opposition. Now I'm going to go over something that really is probably one of the most important things for a center back, and it's positioning. Your positioning will determine how well or how good a defender you are. If you look at the best center backs in the world, John Terry in his prime, Thiago Silva, you can look at Paolo Maldini and Nesta when they were at AC Milan in their prime. A lot of their defending came from good positioning. And what this means is you don't get drawn out of your position, because a lot of times attackers will try and drag you away from where you need to be. Now, sometimes you will need to follow them. If there's a huge gap and no one's picked this guy up, you might need to pick him up. But a great defender, one of their best qualities is their positional sense. They don't get dragged out unless they need to. They don't really deviate too much from this central area unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, I'm sure you can think of times when you've seen defenders just get lured out. Like this guy maybe pressing up here to this guy, and then because he's come out, if he makes the wrong decision and he doesn't get to the ball and doesn't prevent that from happening, and let's say they play to this guy and then a striker makes a run in behind, suddenly this space is wide open, and this could have been prevented by him staying back and allowing someone else to come into that space to do whatever was necessary there. So that's an example of poor positioning and making a poor decision. You need to be positioned well when you're playing center back. And trust me, just by getting this right, just by studying players, like I'll give it again. Look at Maldini. He's great. He was great at this. Look at Terry in his prime for Chelsea. He was exceptional at this. Watch players like this who are, legendary center back players. And you'll notice one of the things in compilation videos of them is they always seem to be in the right spot at the right time. And that comes from good positional sense. It comes from good soccer intelligence. And as a center back, you need to be disciplined. You need to always be aware of where should I be right now. So always ask that, where should I be right now? And if you continually ask yourself this question throughout the game, you're going to have to answer your own question and recognize, okay, I need to be here. I need to watch this runner here. I need to tell my right back to cover for me here. That's another thing that center backs are really known for. You need to have good leadership and communication. Even if you're not a natural leader, you need to develop communication, because there'll be times when, let's say, there's a counterattack and the ball's played over here and it goes over your left or right back, and you have to be sucked into the play here. You need to then tell your left back or right back to take up your center back position until the play is over. Because if you do this, if let's say they're on the counter, so let's say your left back is dragged up here and the ball is played in behind and it's on the counter and this guy's going after it, and you're like somewhere up here, you're going to be drawn to that ball and you're going to need to go to the ball in this situation. You need to scream at your right or left back, if they haven't done already, to cover your center back position. So you're going to be temporary left back in this situation while they're temporary center back. Once you've cleared the danger, you can reset and get back in position. But this is an example of communication, because sometimes maybe a right back or left back is slacking and they've forgotten that they need to cover you, especially in youth teams. So you need to let them know, cover me, cover my position. And if you do that, you can effectively snuff this guy out. They can follow whoever's trying to make the run in here. And because you communicated effectively and you organized your defense, you have successfully prevented your opponents from doing anything. Okay, so these are the main things you really need to be working on when you're center back. I think, honestly, if you're going to look at one thing to improve as a center back, it's your positional sense. Positional sense. If you're a center back and you're really looking to improve, look into positional sense. Watch players who are really good center backs. Watch how they read the game. Watch how they position themselves in different situations, because the best center backs have good positional sense. They read the game well. They're calm and composed and confident. They communicate very effectively, and they make very good decisions. Okay, this is pretty much the formula for a very, very good center back. Now, again, there's more technical stuff that goes into it. You want to be good, for example, at tackling. You want to be able to pass the ball again crisply out of the back, so you're not misplacing a pass to an opponent. But it's really those kind of non-physical attributes that are going to make you a good center back. I mean, the mental attributes of a center back have to be so strong, because if you're a nervous center back, that's already a problem. If you'll become a mistake-prone center back, a mistake-laden center back, and you don't want that. All right, guys, so I hope this has been helpful. Again, I really suggest positional sense is something you really take a look at if you're a center back. Positional sense. But outside of that, just do everything that we've gone over. Make sure you're smart with the ball, good passing, you're calm and composed, you're reading the game well, your positioning, again, is great. That's one of the most important things. Like, half of defending is your positioning. If you're in the right positions most of the time, you can snuff out attacks more easily. Your decision-making has to be good. Make sure you're organizing your defense, and this includes on, free kicks. This includes communicating. Like, if you're on free kicks, making sure you guys are holding the line, making sure everyone's lined up if you're playing an offside trap, making sure everyone's in position to give yourself the best opportunity to defend properly. And also remember, when in doubt, get the ball out. Again, your first job as a defender is to defend and keep this ball away from this goal. That is your first job. So outside all of the calm, composed passing, outside all of the long balls you'll play, outside all of the positional sense, if you need to clear it, do not be shy to do so. Your coaches will forgive you. Now, again, you're not trying to boot the ball out every single time. Like if you have a great passing opportunity, you have no pressure, don't just clear the ball out. But if you're under pressure and you don't think you can get a 100% get a pass to your mid or to your other players, there's no shame in just clearing that ball upfield. Okay? That's an important point to remember. All right, so, I hope this has provided you with some clarity on how to play center back a little better. And let's move on to the next part. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from this video. Let me know in the comments, do you play center back? And if you do, what is your biggest sticking point? Also, let me know what your biggest strength is as well. Do you communicate well? Or do you make good decision making? Or do you have good positioning and so on? All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you share this video with your teammates and friends, like it as well, and subscribe if you're new. I will have 2 videos come across the screen so you can continue to watch and learn, and we will have another one out at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Remember, this is Simply Soccer, where we're helping you to improve your game and stand out on the pitch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.